Women need a seat at the table. They need an invitation to be seated there. And in some cases, where this isn't available, well, then you know what? Then they need to create their own table.
Hello, and welcome back to the Become That Girl Society, where we discuss leveling up strategies so you can become the girl of your dreams. In this space, we don't just glow up, we wise up. We take the lessons hiding in plain sight and use them to strengthen our self-worth, sharpen our intuition, and protect our peace. This is the 5th video in our Lesson from Duchess Meghan series, and in this video, I'm going to talking about the power of building your own table. Leaving toxic systems isn't always about rejection. Sometimes it's about redirection. It's about choosing to no longer exist in spaces that were never built with your growth in mind. Toxic environments drain your energy, distort your identity, and convince you that playing small is survival. But when you choose to leave, you're not walking away from opportunity. You're walking toward alignment. That shift is powerful. It turns suffering into strategy. It's about recognizing when the table you've been invited to was never built to support you, and having the courage to build your own. Not every invitation is a blessing. Some tables are set with beautiful silverware, golden plates, and royal titles, but the foundation is rotten. Meghan realized early on that she was never truly welcomed as an equal. The table she had been invited to was built on generations of protocol and exclusivity, and while she may have had a seat, she was never going to be allowed a voice for any woman watching this. If you have to constantly justify your presence at a table, it's not yours, it's theirs. And it's okay to walk away. When you create your own table, you don't just claim a seat, you claim the entire space. You stop begging for crumbs and start deciding the menu. You no longer wait for validation, you define it. Meghan didn't just leave the institution. She built something that reflected her voice, her values, and her vision. She claimed her space in the world with intention, and in doing so, created a brand, a platform, and a purpose that no one could take from her. This is a reminder to all of us. When you build your own table, you design the rules, the atmosphere, and the guest list. And that's where real success begins. Because real success isn't just about applause or status. It's about peace. It's about waking up every day knowing you are free to live as your full self. When you stop performing for people who will never appreciate your presence and start creating spaces that reflect your truth, you step into a new kind of power. That's where momentum is born. That's where legacy begins. For Meghan, stepping away from the royal family wasn't just a retreat from toxicity. It was a conscious decision to redefine her legacy on her own terms. The media tried to paint it as an escape, but it was a strategic, soul-led pivot. She didn't run, she realigned. She didn't abandon tradition. She reimagined what tradition could look like through a modern, compassionate, inclusive lens. And most importantly, she did it without waiting for permission. That kind of move is only made by women who understand their worth. By leaving, she rejected a system that sought to control her narrative and limit her potential. Systems like the monarchy operate on image control. The moment you stop complying, they try to erase or distort you. Meghan refused to let others define her story. She knew her potential was too expansive to be contained within a role that required silence and subservience. When you leave systems that dim you, you get to reclaim your power and redefine your story. That's true liberation. And in doing so, she gained the freedom to build something far more meaningful and impactful than she ever could have within the confines of tradition. Meghan didn't just free herself. She created room to build, create, and elevate others. She started initiatives rooted in empowerment and healing. She shifted from performing to producing, from surviving to thriving. It's a reminder that your greatest work doesn't come from conformity. It comes from the courage to walk away from what no longer serves you. Success is often stifled by systems that demand conformity. For the average person, those systems aren't palaces. They're offices, families, schools, or friend groups. Environments that tell you who you can be, how much you can shine, and what parts of yourself need to stay hidden. When success is measured by your ability to conform, creativity and authenticity suffer. Meghan's story proves that freedom is the true breeding ground for success. In our own lives, we often stay in systems that were never built for people like us. The first step to changing that is recognizing you deserve more. For someone like Meghan, who thrives on creativity, compassion, and modernity, trying to fit into that environment was like trying to squeeze a diamond into a mold meant for coal. She wasn't failing to adapt, she was refusing to shrink. She didn't want to be tolerated, she wanted to be valued. That metaphor applies to every woman who has ever felt like too much in a place that asked her to be less. Sometimes, the mold is the problem, not the diamond. She was never going to be appreciated for her brilliance because the system itself was designed to diminish anyone who dared to be different. That's the thing about gatekeeping systems. They're allergic to individuality. They pretend to welcome innovation, but only if it doesn't disturb the hierarchy. Meghan disturbed it by simply being herself, and that was enough to make her a target. Leaving allowed Meghan to reclaim her power and build something entirely her own. Causes you care about don't need to be silenced. You just need to find the right soil to plant them in. By creating her own table, she was able to focus on the issues that truly matter to her, without censorship, restriction, or manipulation. This is where building your own table becomes transformative. You no longer have to ask for permission to care about what matters to you. You can lead, speak, create, and serve without filtering yourself to fit someone else's agenda. Meghan could have stayed and played the part, but she chose to live the truth. That's the difference between surviving within a system and thriving outside of it. And that is the true reward. Not the titles or the applause, but the ability to wake up every day and live a life that feels honest, aligned, and meaningful. Meghan's legacy will outlast headlines because it was built with intention, not obligation. Thanks for watching this episode of Become That Girl Society. If this resonated with you, drop a comment below, share it with your bestie, and don't forget to subscribe for more video. And as always, keep shining.